A lot of people have been asking me how I learned Russian by myself. I'm going to explain to you exactly what method I used for language learning. So for those of you who don't know, I've been learning Russian at home for 8 months now and Arabic for 4 or 5 months. I'm much better at Russian, by the way. I can actually now have a conversation for almost an hour and pretty much hold myself pretty well. Когда там сауна, русский и азиаты всегда собираются вместе. And I did it using only 2 apps. I used Duolingo and AI. A lot of people say like, oh, AI is not good. AI is not accurate. It's going to give you the wrong answer. False. AI was literally created to help the military learn foreign languages faster. So if there's any topic that AI is accurate about, it's languages. Sure, it's not going to be 100%, but it's well over 99% accurate. Matter of fact, I grew up speaking Japanese, and when I ask AI to translate my emails, it does it way better. It writes way cleaner and more formal Japanese than I do. So now I just ask AI to write my emails in Japanese because what am I using my brain for? As a side note, I really like this method where I use AI voice chat because that means I can literally just use it when I'm cleaning the house or when I'm folding laundry. I jump on a phone call while I'm doing the dishes or even while I'm taking long drives. So it's like you can literally multitask and you can do this at the same time and study a language at the same time that you're just doing everyday household tasks. And people will say that Duolingo is not good for language learning. Again, false. Duolingo is actually very good for learning rote vocabulary memorization. It does drills with you over and over and over again until the words are cemented in your head. It does repetition, which is vital for language learning. Even the best language learners need to hear a word between 8 to 12 times before it cements into their memory. And that is assuming you are one of the best language learners on Earth, on this planet. This means that the average or ordinary person needs to hear a word dozens of times, sometimes even hundreds of times before it cements into their head. And also Duolingo is very good for learning how to read foreign script. I did not know how to read Russian at all. I did not know how to read Arabic at all. And I never ever studied the alphabet. I literally learned all of it using Duolingo. So first 2 months, I basically just spent on Duolingo, just learning how to read and write and try to develop a basic vocabulary. And I wanted to develop at least like 200 to 300 vocabulary words before I started speaking. Once I developed a basic vocabulary level, which happened right around the 2-month mark, I started using ChatGPT, and I used the ChatGPT voice feature to practice having live conversations in my target language. Now, you're always going to want to do a level that's slightly above what you are currently at. So in this video, I'm starting to do B2 or C1 level vocabulary for Russian. I'm asking it to please give me sentences to translate from English to Russian, specifically about cybersecurity. Hi, ChatGPT. I'd like you to give me some exercises where you give me a sentence in English and I try to translate them into Russian. Please make them about cybersecurity and politics.
Here's your first one. The agency must protect citizens' personal data from unauthorized access.
Агентство должно защищать персональные данные граждан от несанкционированных дат-пост.
Nice pass. Just a couple of small fixes. It's агентство должно in the neuter and несанкционированного доступа in the genitive. So the clean version is агентство должно защищать персональные данные граждан от несанкционированного доступа. The government aims to prevent cyber threats during national elections.
Правительство, I don't know aims, so правительство предотвращение киберугрозы в национальные выборы.
The natural sentence is правительство стремится предотвратить киберугрозы во время национальных выборов.
This is one of the exercises that I do, by the way. Sometimes I'll ask AI to have full-on conversations with me in Russian, but a lot of times I'll also ask it to give me either Russian or English sentences, and then I translate it into the opposite language. You can ask AI to correct you. You can ask AI why the grammar is a specific way.
And what do you mean by like it's in the genitive?
Genitive is a case that often means of or shows possession, and it's also used after certain prepositions, like от, meaning from. That's why несанкционированный доступ changes to несанкционированного доступа.
And I still don't understand what you mean by genitive.
Genitive is a form that often means of or shows from, and some prepositions require it. Во время always needs genitive, so выборы becomes выборов.
So now I'm just starting to learn grammar in Russian around 8 months. And I think now that I'm like B2 level roughly for vocabulary, I think that that's a good starting point for me to start learning the grammar. Personally, I decided to learn like a child, like a baby would, which meant I was not focusing on grammar. I was not focusing on writing. I basically just focused on listening and talking. And I use this method based on some of the fastest language learners in the world that I was watching on YouTube. One of them is Xiao Ma, you might know him. But basically, they all consistently say that you need to learn language like a baby would, which is just by listening and speaking. Don't even focus on the grammar, don't even focus on the writing until later. Because that's exactly how a baby learns. And they make a lot of mistakes while speaking at first. They don't learn grammar, and they don't learn how to write until much, much later in school. Then, if there are any words that I don't know, I will then ask ChatGPT to create a list and save it into memory so that it can do vocabulary drills with me later from that list.
Okay, so add these following words to my vocabulary list to save it so you can give me these as drills later. Add the word for warned, data policy, weaken, public trust, and also add the word prevent on there.
Saved. I added.
And by the way, if you're not paying for ChatGPT, then you're going to have a limited memory. So instead, I recommend you either write it down either on your computer or copy and paste it on your computer, or write it down physically, and then you can take a photo of it and then upload it to ChatGPT, and then it will do vocabulary drills with you based on what you've written down. So when you are doing these vocabulary drills with AI, you're going to want to select a specific topic. Like say, for example, you're a beginner. You want to start a topic about shopping. Then you want to start a topic about restaurants. You want to start a topic about directions, and then you'll do drills for each and every single topic separately. And you'll be like, okay, give me like the 30 or 40 most commonly words used when going shopping, for example. Do not move on to a new topic until you have memorized at least 80% of the vocabulary list. Once you've memorized approximately 80%, you can move on to the next topic. It helps to cement it into your memory if you're doing it over and over and over again. So here's a sample list of words I created on the topic of cybersecurity. I then copy and paste my target words to ChatGPT, and then I use the voice feature to do rote memory drills until I memorize 80% of the words on this list.
Translate into Russian. To prevent.
Предотвратить. Okay, so then I'm going to try to use it in a sentence. Мы стараем предотвратить это.
Use мы стараемся предотвратить это. Стараемся matches мы.
When you are doing vocabulary drills, you also want to get into the habit of creating a sentence with each word, each and every single time you get your target word. The reason why is it helps with memory recall. It is much easier to retrieve a word from memory if you are practicing sentences with it, rather than just using flashcards and just doing each and every single word and their meaning. Doing it the last way is actually the hardest way to retrieve words from memory when you are actually having a live conversation with somebody. So always get into the habit of practicing a sentence with your target word that you're trying to learn.
Translate into Russian. Public trust.
Общественное доверие.
The right phrase is общественное доверие.
Now you can even take this up a step, take this up a notch, and make this even harder. If you are learning 2 or more languages, you can actually use voice chat to translate sentences from one language to another. Here's one where I'm asking in Russian how to translate these sentences into Arabic.
Как ты скажешь у меня встреча по-арабски?
You can say عندي اجتماع.
Как ты скажешь я ищу частную детективу?
أنا أبحث عن محقق خاص. In Lebanese, you can say عم فتش على محقق خاص.
How would I say in Russian, how much does he charge for his services? Would it be сколько он берет за его сервисы?
The natural Russian is сколько он берет за свои услуги. Услуги is better than сервисы here, and свои fits well because it refers to his own services.
Why does it fit better than сервисы?
Because услуги means services you provide for payment, like a professional's work. Service is more about service quality or service system, and it's less natural when you're asking what a professional charges.
Как ты скажешь, сколько он берет по-арабски?
Эдиш бьяхуд. In standard Arabic, you can say kem ya'khud.
Oh, I see. Wait, is that the same verb for to take, like أخذ, or is that a different one?
Same verb. Echava means to take. In Lebanese, biyachud is he takes, and in this context, it means he charges.
Oh, okay. What is it? Kadish? Is that Kadish? بيأخذ.
Exactly.
Well, why did you say a dish when there's like a ka beginning? Is it Kaddish or Yeddish?
It's usually written with qaf as qaddish, but in Lebanese speech, it's pronounced more like eddish.
Now, I will say that AI is less accurate for really obscure languages. Like, if you're trying to speak some tribal remote language, it's probably not best to use AI, because I notice that when I'm learning Levantine dialect, every now and then sometimes it'll get it wrong, and it'll get it wrong a lot more often than modern standard Arabic. But if you are learning something that's really common, Russian, Spanish, Chinese, French, Turkish, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine using AI. By the way, I am employed full-time, so I realistically can only devote between 5 to 60 minutes a day for language learning. The only people who are going to be becoming super fluent in a language within 2 or 3 months are the people who are unemployed or like they just have the time to study and speak 8-9 hours a day. You're going to have days where you feel like your brain is not working at all. That is completely normal. Like I've literally had days where it feels like my brain is just scrambled eggs. Like it's just like shit is not working and like I barely can get the words out of my mouth. That's completely normal, and normally that happens just before you're about to hit a new plateau. So that means that like just hang on, you're actually about to improve very soon. Now this is a method that might actually surprise you. You actually want to take rest days and breaks every now and then. I made this mistake first, 6 months, 7 months? I was learning languages every single day without a break. Now, at one point, I started getting discouraged because Arabic is so freaking hard. I was like, I'm never going to get this. So I just randomly stopped doing it for like 2 or 3 days. And all of a sudden, I realized my memory recall was significantly better after I took a break. It makes perfect sense if you think about it because your brain is a muscle. Your brain is a muscle, which means that it also needs recovery to repair and reboost itself. Think about it like exercise. You don't exercise the same body part every single day, right? You exercise different body parts each week, and then you might take a break like 1 or 2 days a week. So believe it or not, incorporating a rest day 1 day a week actually helps you learn languages faster. Different languages also exercise different parts of the brain. For example, Chinese and Arabic are some of the very few languages that use both sides of the brain. Normally, other languages only use one side of the brain. So this really shows that language learning really is just like exercise, and you need to treat it just like how you would a muscle during workout.